What's up guys, it's PK here. Today we're at VCD Racing. We're going to be talking about Lewis's build. You guys seen it before probably. So now he's port injected fuel system instead of the regular stock system. So I'll let Lewis kind of explain the difference and let him get into the technical and stuff. So I came to Lewis's shop today was to talk about his new system. He does have also SIG block, PBG system, action clutch, full bolt-on, but I guess the newest thing you're doing is the port injection kit.
Yeah, so
pretty much port injection versus direct injection.
Yeah, so there's two. Obviously, the stock car comes with direct injection. So compared to older vehicles, port injection is just basically instead of you having your injectors directly into the cylinder head, now you would have them in your manifold, right? That's kind of like a regular like D or B or K series, you know, like the old school like
or F series.
Yeah, or F series. Yeah, you have them directly on their manifold. You can replace them fairly easily. You know, the fuel line is like directly on the front of the car. You know, all that stuff is fairly easy to do.
So pretty much before it gets into the block, I guess
directly into the block,
it mixes in with the air first.
Yeah, and on the manifold.
And then it goes
into the cylinder, and then it goes into the chamber.
That's when it blows up.
So compared to that, now we move into this new generation of car where there is something called direct injection, which it isn't as new as people think it is. It's fairly been on the market. The technology is not as new as, you know, it's just like most manufacturers weren't moving towards it because it was like everything's a lot poorer, it was cheaper, you know, stuff like that. But now emissions change and, you know, technology changes.
Miles per gallon.
Yeah, everything is more about fuel economy and emissions in, you know, in California where we live. So that is always going to be the limiting factor for any 10th generation platform. It'll either be SI or Core Type R, you know, such and such, you know. So what ended up happening is we had a build block, build motor, big turbo kit, and we ran out of fuel. And that has been the biggest, basically, plateau for this generation of car for the last probably 4 or 5 years.
For SI and Type R.
Yeah,
Type R
has definitely gotten a lot more support.
If you guys seen previous videos with Type Rs, we always have fuel system cutting off because they can't handle it. So the SI is the same setup.
Yeah, basically the same way. The only difference with the Type R that it has beneficial is that it has a Bosch ECU. So, and then your guys' software support is a lot more like up to date and pretty like on point with new products. So like the Type R has an XDI pump, which is an upgraded like high flow pump on the engine, which is a mechanical pump. You guys also have the hand-out fuel system, which is bigger injectors for the direct injection system, intake pumps, you know, better lines, stuff like that.
Well, for the SI.
But the SI, there's like really nothing. Like there is some, you know, kits here and there that, you know, they have like slightly bigger direct injection ports, but it's only guaranteeing like about, you know, anywhere between 5 to 20 or 15% or whatever it is. Don't quote me because I'm not like I haven't done like crazy research into the kits because we kind of stepped away from trying to upgrade the direct injection system because there's a lot more components that need to go into it and a lot of more.
It's more complicated.
Not that it's more complicated. Like we know how we can make it work better, but the thing is sourcing product and materials, and we would have to make like pieces of thousands or whatever to make it worth it for someone like general public to buy it, like. You know, because no one was going to pay $10,000, $15,000 for like one piece.
So you can upgrade. It's not that it's due to complication, but it's much more expensive.
Yes,
to have an upgraded direct injection.
That's why I was saying like this direct injection system is not as old as you think because like Ford has been doing this like on EcoBoost, you know, STIs like Mazdas, like stuff like that. They have direct injection. Like it's not that it's new to Honda, right? Honda's always been KB. You know, DJ, that's it, you know, whatever you got, that's what you got. But now that there's new L15, the new Ks, like direct injection system is needed for economy. The first thing that we need to tackle was either choose, do we upgrade the direct injection system or do we add more fuel a different way? So we kind of looked into the direct injection way, and for what we would be paying and what we would be getting, there's a bunch of different options I can go into theory and everything like that, but it wasn't going to work out. especially on a consumer standpoint, because it was like no one's gonna willing to pay for that stuff.
Yeah, maybe you because you're a race car guy.
Yeah, I would be willing to make a one set of for this car.
The intention here is that make it easier for other
People to be able to use it.
other enthusiasts to get this system. And so you're considering cost.
Yeah, basically, because I don't want to charge like 6-10 grand for a system, and you're only gonna be limited again. So it doesn't make sense. So in this aspect, what we chose was the first thing is how do we get more fuel, and obviously how do we tune it, and how do we make it as cost effective for someone as possible. So after we kind of went to the drawing board, we had 4 or 5 different diagrams of how we could do it, and we cut those 4 or 5 ideas into 2, and then from those 2, one was crazy excessive, which wasn't needed for, let's say, 1300 horsepower, and then one was this makes more sense. And the other kit we may make one day for people that are insane and just
like full-on drag guys, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, there's still other options. Like a lot of people, you can do Motec and all this stuff. But like, that's the other thing too. Like,
it just goes down back to money. Like
like
money.
you can spend $10,000-$15,000 on Motec and tuning and everything, all combined. But are you going to be stuck at the same place where we're doing, where we're at now?
Yeah.
And it's back to the consumer. Like, we're trying to make it as best as possible for you guys to be able to use the kit and be able to tune it without, excessively, like, you're going to have to give up your left arm, basically to. Besides that, I mean, nothing against Motec. It's a phenomenal system, and it can do anything that you possibly want. Probably a full race car, and, you're really trying to push the car to its limits, which I've seen guys do, and we have a couple buddies in the FK8 people that have Motec, and, their cars are insane. But for what we're doing and the amount of power and for the money, like I can't justify it, for someone regular, for a regular consumer. So instead, what we ended up doing is there's a lot of different stuff that had been coming out. Like there's like fuel rails for this and fuel rails for this car, but there was not really a company to really offer anything more than just the rail. The rail is just one little piece of the whole
fuel,
problem.
The fuel system.
Yeah.
That's just one.
The rail is the easy part. Like you can go make a rail, like get a bar, and then it's just a couple holes.
Go to Home Depot.
You can make a rail if you really, really wanted to.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to quality and how it's going to perform under pressure and everything, right? So what we ended up doing is we first tested the first one on the PRL rail, and then because I didn't really like the matte performance one, it kind of was a little bit too. It was a little bit more basic on like it's probably more easy to use, to be honest with you.
It's more user friendly.
There's like less stuff that you have to do and think about. We just chose the PR one because one, we were able to read pressure, we were able to feed it and return it, and add more stuff if we needed to in the future. So that's why we kind of went with that first. And then after that, we outsourced injectors, and then obviously, as a company, we're going to be able to give you guys a better price overall compared to like buying every single thing individually and then you going and finding every single type of information to how does this work with this, and is my pressure going to be this much and this much, or you're concerned about is the car going to overflood at this point, like all those little things we've already put into consideration and did like that. And that was like the first part, is finding how the rail and the injector is going to even be mounted up. That's like the first part of it, how it's going to fit. And then after, we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to feed this?
Yeah.
The stock pump is like this big, like the intake pump, the one inside your trunk. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously in the back seat. The car probably maxes out like at 350 with like a big turbo and ethanol. The intake pump was a different problem. Definitely finding the correct sizing is another problem. I know that the Deechworks pump is available, but the problem about that is every dealer in almost the whole United States was out of stock for the next 8 months. So we were like, okay, we're gonna not do that. So we found another brand, and we found the correct size and the correct filter to be able to fit inside the canister without cutting or modifying it. So that was another big thing. Is like,
you wanted it to be bolt-on.
Yeah, direct.
No custom.
Yeah, basically.
Fabrication
So
needed.
the canister itself is made for this big, and then the pump that we found, even the Deechworks one, it's a tight fit. Like even if the Deechworks one has like the little filter and everything, like you do have to push it together to lock it in place. So we kind of got it to the same amount as the Deechworks one, so we were able to apply it and install the canister, and you know there is some light tension that you have to put, but everything does clip on, everything does fit properly. The only thing is you do have to hardwire it into, because it's a fuel pump, you have to hardwire it directly into the canister so it could fit, and so the hanger can feed the pump, right? So that was one part. So we did all that, we did all the measurements, so we got all that to work. The stock system, it already has an intake regulator. The regulator, it only can let a certain amount of PSI flow through it, right? So we were able to test that information. We have a fuel gauge on our actual port injection system, and we might offer it, but honestly, we probably don't. You probably don't need it for any of your kits. We might offer it as a, you know, a secondary. Like, hey, look, if you guys want to add a, you know, a reader,
additional options.
Additional option. We might add it. We don't know yet. We have to just double check how that's gonna work out. But I mean, it would be good to see, but it's kind of hard to like really tell data like that because you have your hood closed, you know, like unless you're like really checking at it like every single moment, like it's kind of hard to kind of explain. But we did a lot of like when we did dyno testing, I was keeping an eye on like how much the pressure was, if we were running out of fuel, if it was pulling away from the DI system, you know, because that's kind of the other thing too. The other part is feeding it, right? How are the lines going to work between the ethanol sensor and how's it going to feed the stock rail plus the port injection rail? So we found the best way to tee between both and keeping both the flow rates the same, and that's where the bigger pump gets in place. So it has a bigger flow rate overall, so it can feed both systems. And we had really good success on the dyno. We made 350 starting, so that's with no port injection. One day we ran out of time. On the first day we stopped at 413, and then we had to stop because we ran out of dyno time. We went on a different day, and then we ended up getting all the way up to 456 horsepower. So that's an additional 100 horsepower over the stock system, just with port injection. So there is a big gain. If you compare the pricing, it would kind of be like if you're buying an entire turbo setup. Because if you do a turbo setup, you think about it, stock to a turbo kit like this, you're only making 100 horsepower over stock. Yeah. So like for this type of car, for this PRO kit, you're probably looking around 3,200 bucks just the kit.
So 3,200
just for a turbo
for a big turbo kit. And it gives you about 100 horsepower. About
100 horsepower, right? Yeah. But it's just a tool to make more in the future, right? But once you have this, you run out of fuel. That's where you're back at square one.
Yeah.
So the stock system can do 350 all day long with this turbo kit. So that's what we got to. And then we implemented the port. And right now we're at E72. We're probably going to go back to do another revision and just run straight ethanol. And so that at that point, we're not gonna have an issue with just like we have to make something or that like that. Right now, I think it might like need like a gallon to be like perfect.
Gallon 91.
I have 91, but I kind of don't want to do that, so we might just go back and just do like a gallon. We might lose a couple horsepower, like 3, 4, 5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be more beneficial than trying to like chase some crazy little number that's like gonna be meaningless at the end of the day. Like, yeah. You're at 450, you're at 450.
Yeah.
You know, what was it right
more
now?
than 400. It's
very crazy. It's a 1.5 liter, 2,800 pounds. Like, what more are you waiting like asking for? You know.
Yeah.
So definitely, we got a big improvement in power, in torque, and the best thing about our system is we don't use any type of voltaging, so we don't have to go off of
no electrical wiring.
Yeah. So the only thing we do have to get is obviously a RPM signal, which is that's how the controller knows how to read and calculate, right? But this system, how the way that we designed it, the first thing we did was we stepped away from voltaging or like using the map sensors. So we ended up using is we're going off of actual PSI, actual boost pressure you're creating. So when that boost hits, it knows and it knows when to spray. So it's not constantly on. So a lot of people have a misconception is that it's always going to be on, it's always going to be spraying fuel, your MPG is going to be crazy low. But it's not, because it's only going to turn on when you want to turn it on.
So it goes back to depending how you drive the car.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get 30 miles a gallon like
if you're driving chill, normal person, yeah, you're going to get high number. But if you're on the track or racing every single guy that's next to you,
yeah, your MPG is going to definitely
because it's obviously pumping more than
the stock levels, right?
Yeah.
So a correct target and a correct RPM, you know, like everything is being calculated.
Yeah, and this is all based off the tune and.
Yeah, tuning. So tuning is the biggest thing that you need to do. Like professional tuning needs to be 100% part of your plan when doing this. The kit itself will offer basically all the tools for you to make the power, but we're not gonna give you the spoon basically.
Yeah.
You know, so you guys have to.
So you'll get the full kit, the full product.
Yeah.
But end of the day, you still have to go to a tuner
Mm-hmm.
and that's another thing, right? Depending who tunes your car, how they tune
exactly.
it.
How you tune it.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, you can have
That's a whole
the
nother
best
thing.
tuner or the worst tuner, but you know, as long as they're aware of how to use the system, or the product will come with the software needed to control it. It's all down to the tuner to know how to use it. You know?
Okay. How much is the kit?
So the kit itself is gonna be starting at $2,200.
2,200.
But it's gonna be a complete plug and play system where you can A, do it in your house, B, take it to a professional installer, which we recommend at the end of the day because it is fueling. But you can.
Most guys don't
do it.
It's not like springs, right? Springs, yeah, it might take you a day, 2 days if you don't know nothing. But this is not something that you should be playing around with if you have no experience.
Yeah, so I mean, even
like,
I know for sure this is one of the first conversations we had when thinking about even selling it, because we weren't gonna sell it. We were gonna be like, hey, we're gonna just use it for ourselves and then that's it. But we have a lot of customers that have built motors, built transmissions, and they want to make power too, right?
That's where you come in. We're like, okay, you got the block, you got the turbo. Now you can get the fuel system, right? And that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so that's why we're trying to offer it. It will work on Honda. We did our testing on Honda, but it will work the same way on K-Tuner. Everything is just about finding your tuner to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. We have two options, one for stock manifold and one for the Skunk 2 race manifold.
Yeah.
So I would probably recommend the Skunk 2 race manifold just because...
If you're a bigger turbo, right?
Yeah, and then the material itself, it'll just hold a lot more pressure. Under pressure, it'll hold better. It'll, if it is being shot directly through it, like it's not going to deteriorate, over time. Stuff like that. So it'll work on stock turbo, it'll work on a W1, W2, RV6, it'll work on a PRL kit, it'll work on...
Let's say I'm full bolt-on, I'm running flex, can I run the stock turbo with this? Or
I mean, in theory, yes.
In theory,
we wouldn't have no issues, but the thing is that everything comes down to it's a stock part, it might break.
Yeah.
You will be limited by the amount of boost pressure you can give the turbo, If you ever do need to have a question or something like that, you can always contact us and we can try to walk you through it. But at the end of the day, that's the reason why we recommend you to do a professional installation. The in-tank, that's like a 10. Yeah, if you don't have the correct tools,
it's one of the hardest things.
It's a hard thing. That's not even one of them. The manifold, getting into the manifold, this is a small engine bay. Yeah. If you really look at it, there's room, but
more room than Xgen. That's
for sure. But I mean, there is still getting your hands behind that manifold. That thing's sharp. It has a lot of little cut. When you do the zip ties, they come sideways. They don't come straight.
Look at his fingers, guys.
Yeah, look at that. I have we're not gonna get to that, but
you need to get to the hospital clinic or
no,
something?
dude. My hands are.
You have issues or?
For the most part, we do wear gloves.
¿Te pegan o qué?
Yeah, with this kit, it'll have an upgraded lines for the DI system, for the port injection system, and then your hard line, which is the hard line goes from the top of the fuel rail to basically your ethanol sensor. Mm-hmm. So all those little things will be included in the kit. The injector sizings, and then it's going to be including all of your little, basically adapters that you need to connect the rails to your actual body. Everything you're going to need for installing hardware, and then all the wiring. There is two parts that you do need to wire, which is going to be for your intake pump, which is your bigger pump inside the back seat. And then you do have to tap into your signal for your ethanol, because obviously you want to run E, and the computer needs to know what E you're at so you can justify the power that you're getting, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the only two things you're going to need to wire. Everything else is going to be just clip, 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 and the injectors are going to be clip, 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 and you don't need to, I need to solder this connector to this wiring harness, and I'm going to use my harness for this, and none of that. You're just going to literally just click on, clip on, clip on, clip on.
Yeah. So by the time this video is out,
it should be soon.
It should be
either out or soon.
Soon. So I'll make sure on the description, I'll put his website where you can purchase this. And again, if you guys have questions, you can hit him up about it.
Yeah. So
mechanical questions. That's again, in theory, you should have much more experience or have done it before. So
yeah, I mean, we can walk you through stuff, but I can't sit on the phone for 2 hours trying to get you through one part of it. We don't have time to do that. We have so many other projects to do. We're developing products for you guys. So I can definitely give you if you have a technical question, hey, how did you guys do this? I did it like this, I'll be able to help you with that. But tuning, that has to be done with your tuner. I'm not a tuner. We don't do any in-house tuning. We don't have a dyno pack here. So your tuner has to know how to use the software. So that would be the only real problem, I guess, for somebody. But we can always recommend it to who did our car. You know,
Yeah.
we
So,
definitely.
so if you guys are in the SoCal area,
Yeah.
you did it here locally in Long Beach.
Yeah, we did it in Long Beach with Daniel Butler, with Honda at Church's Automotive Testing. So we can always just forward you to him. He's very fluent in Honda and in Tuner Pro, which is the software that we use for the split-second controller. And you should have no problem with that. The only problem is some of you K-tuner guys might have a harder problem trying to find a tuner because you just need to hit up whoever does the tunes for that.
Yeah. So before you purchase a kit, right? Maybe hit up whoever your tuner is or a K-tuner specialist that can work with it. Because I know Church Automotive, they work with.
Honda mostly.
Daniel works with Honda only.
Yeah.
So,
as far as I'm aware, you can try giving him a call, but it's really up to him if he's willing to do it.
But that's a whole nother conversation, right? That's out of.
Yeah, that's out of my hands.
Yeah.
That's out of wherever you guys live. You could be watching this in a different state. I had a couple guys in different states, like say Florida or like Carolina, tell me, like actually I had a guy yesterday. He asked me like, hey, like I'm in Illinois. I have K-tuner. Do you have anyone that can tune it? And I'm like, unfortunately, no, we don't. Like we're in California. We did it here locally. The only problem would be you have to find a tuner. Like the kit works.
And the whole point of this conversation, this discussion is just so you guys have an understanding. It's not just buying the kit. Like, there's other stuff behind it. There's additional costs behind it, like custom tune and all that stuff. So
it hits.
It's faster than my car, that's for sure. And that's because he doesn't have grip. So imagine once he does have grip.
Yeah, these are track tires, so I mean you have to really hit these up.
Yeah. So it's something else, right? So this is gonna be 2 videos. So this is the first video where we talk about his kit, and then the second video it's kind of more up to date with Lewis's car here. So we've done this a few times with his car, but every time I come over, he always has something brand new with it, and he's one of the, I don't want to say one of the first, but he's leading the innovation with the 10THGEN Si.
Yeah, we're just trying to give people what they've been asking for, and if we can help you guys out.
If you guys are interested in the kit, make sure to hit him up either through Instagram, through his website directly, or if you have any questions, there's a way to contact him in the description. So get a kit. It's gonna be like when you first got your tune, where it's like, damn, a tune is great, and then you get a turbo, it's like, damn.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. I was like,
it's like, once you get a turbo, it's like, wow. So hopefully with this kit, having full bolt-on turbo block, this kind of gives you that third well or fourth well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and check out Lewis and his 10THGEN Si. So there's guys.